in multiple areas across the community. People are making adjustments. We still have a long way to go through this because we don't know where the end is. But as we make those adjustments and as everybody pulls together, I'm confident that we'll be a stronger community in the end. It's a troubling and trying time right now, and we all just need to pull together as a community to ensure that we pull through this successfully.
Okay, it's March 31st, Tuesday, and we're with John Ward. John is the manager of the Town of Boone. And thanks, John, for spending a little bit of time with us here. I'm sure you're crazy busy, but I know that you probably have some interesting information that you could share that would help people understand how the town is responding to the governor's new orders and other things that may be pertinent to everybody during this difficult time. So thanks for coming on. Why don't you start just by telling us what is a town manager? What does a town manager do? I don't know that everybody knows that.
Well, I am appointed by the mayor and the town council, so I am the only appointed official who directly supervises all other town employees. So I coordinate with the police chief, the fire chief, our planning and inspections department, our entire public works staff, cultural resources, finance, human resources. So all of the departments and nearly 200 of the employees for the town of Boone, I am the supervisor and the coordinator to try to implement the policies that are adopted by the town council and carried out by the town staff.
This is the first day of the governor's shutdown, I guess we would call it. And I'm curious, first off, how is this different than what we had before that was in place?
Well, we've kind of seen this coming from a local planning level. So we've incrementally ramped up to hopefully it was not a major impact on any of the citizens. We realized that there's quite an impact on the businesses, but we tried as we were moving through this and as we were obtaining more and more information to start that process. So now that we're under the order, I believe that you're going to see more businesses that are deemed non-essential, not opening, but you will still have your restaurants that can serve takeout. You'll have your grocery stores. We're working with the farmers market, and actually this Saturday, the Winter's Farmers Market will be available at Daniel Boone Park for fresh local food. They will be meeting all the CDC requirements, but we're really trying to support the community while trying to enforce these more restrictive rules so that we can get a handle on the transmission of this virus.
Pretty serious stuff. So do you have any strong messages you're wanting to send to the public at this time?
I think the biggest thing that people can do is really follow the rules that are coming out of the governor's office, follow the state of emergency that's adopted by Watauga County. Later today, the town of Boone will be amending our state of emergency to follow the same requirements as the most recent Watauga County state of emergency yesterday. We're requiring that all businesses that are deemed non-essential to have closed, and we're working through that on a voluntary basis with those businesses. We're closing playgrounds, ball courts, and picnic shelters because those are places of congregation. The governor's limited groups to 10 or less. And a lot of times while people are out, there's the possibility to get definitely more than that in certain areas. So we're limiting those while also paying special attention to those areas like playgrounds that kids can transmit it or accidentally take it back and spread it through their families. While we're doing that, we're also, we stepped up and we ramped up the restrictions just yesterday in Watauga County so that all residents and non-residents arriving from overnight stays are ordered to self-quarantine for a period of 14 days or 7 days past when their symptoms have resolved, whichever is longer. So the only exceptions to that are commuting essential workforce and emergent response resources that are coordinated through Watauga County Emergency Services, the health director, and the sheriff's office, as well as the town of Boone.
How is that being enforced? And how can that be enforced, or is it not?
We're relying a lot on education and voluntary compliance, but it is a class 2 misdemeanor, so it does carry the force and the rule of law. So in those situations where we've got people who are blatantly disregarding the order, we do have the ability to charge them with a misdemeanor.
Wow. What do you think is the best way for our community to stay healthy through this? I mean, maybe besides the obvious CDC guidelines, washing your hands and social distancing, if we were to fast forward a year from now, in terms of our economy and just getting back to where we were, do you have any thoughts or advice on how we weather this storm as a community?
Well, I think that as a community, one of the things that we would like to do, the town of Boone would like to just say thank you to all the individuals and the community groups and organizations who have provided much needed assistance throughout the community. There's a lot of people helping make sure people have food. A lot of people who are shut-ins are having people step up and helping make deliveries to their homes so they don't have to get out. People with autoimmune disease who are more susceptible to the transmission, people are stepping forward and helping take care of them. Thousands have been fed by our local school system because they've quickly adapted and made sure that kids are not going to go hungry while they're learning at home. The county and all the local governments are working together. We're pooling resources. We're doing things like making sure that if one town's water or wastewater treatment plant operators get infected, that we've got backup measures in place where clean drinking water and treated wastewater will continue to be a service that is not interrupted. Our police and fire, they're there at a moment's notice, just like any other day, and they're working extra and overtime in order to provide that, as well as our public works department. We've had to make some major adjustments. We're not doing preventative and proactive projects. We're responding and doing emergency repair and maintenance, but we've started making those adjustments. I think for our overall community, both mental and physical health will be essential. I think that it's a time to slow down, realize what's important, reach out, and make sure that you check on someone, whether that be a text a friend, a coworker, or a neighbor, just to see if they're okay. I've heard story after story of people who are in line to pick up food and or essentials, and somebody in the line ahead of them put a little extra money down so that the person behind them could receive a kind gesture. I think it's time that we're going to have to kind of refocus and recenter on those things, make sure that we're all okay. If you're out exercising, and that's a good thing to do as long as you practice those social distances standards. And everybody that's out there doing that's making sure to kind of acknowledge each other and wave or say hello, because it's a troubling and trying time right now, and we all just need to pull together as a community to ensure that we pull through this successfully.
What would you say? Is there anything that gives you hope in this thing? Is there any silver linings that you would point to?
I think through the isolation and anxiety around this, that our spirit of our community will prevail. I think that people will identify and find more of a place of home with the community that they endured this with. And I think that by pulling together, we can become a stronger community. I think it'll be very, very essential for those businesses that have been impacted, those that have been shut down because of the governor's order, or those that have had limited purchases simply because they've had to change from dine-in to carry out. Those are not easy things to adjust to, but you're seeing that go on in multiple areas across the community. People are making adjustments. We still have a long way to go through this because we don't know where the end is. But as we make those adjustments and as everybody pulls together, I'm confident that we'll be a stronger community in the end. And I think that you'll see much more resilience from the community. And we might not take everything for granted the way we may have done before we were issued with a stay-at-home order, or before we couldn't just leave the house and go do whatever we wanted whenever we wanted to.
Are there any other ways the town is trying to step up and support citizens right now?
Well, I think that what we're trying to do is provide as much information as possible. And I would encourage everybody to visit the Town of Boone website at www.townofboone.net. At the very top of the page, there's a coronavirus information and resources link. We're linking to our healthcare providers, our health department, Watauga County, the Boone Area Chamber of Commerce, and we're providing as much information about our declarations of emergency, our states of emergency, as well as any updated information can be found at that website.
All right. Well, is there anything else that you'd want to say before we sign off here?
I just want to reassure everybody that the Town of Boone will continue to focus on the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens, employees, and visitors. And we're working very hard to make sure that all the Town of Boone services continue without disruption. Our staff are dedicated to their jobs. They care about what's going on and what you're going through. And they're working hard every day to make sure that they help everyone that they can during this challenging time. We may not necessarily have everybody in every office that we've had so that there's face-to-face interaction, but during business hours, every department is staffing the phones, every department is answering emails, and every department is providing as many of the services that we can as we move through this. We obviously have to focus on those essential services, and we appreciate everybody's understanding and cooperation as we make that transition.
It's great. Well, thanks for your service, John. I know you're busy, so I will let you get back to work.
All right. Well, thank you very much, and thanks for helping get more of the information out to more of the community.